All right, everybody. Tim Timmons here with another 10,000 minute experiment. And to my hard right is Emoy Donis.
Yellow.
And to my immediately soft left is
So weird.
Chris Cleveland.
Hey,
everybody.
y'all. I wanted to do applause for Amoy, but then I only got one clap out. But
Well,
she
a single,
deserves so much
single
more.
clap is totally strong.
Okay.
One clap's enough.
Yeah, a single clap. I mean, that's even
It hit-
better than a standing O.
Yeah.
So, anywho. And then our special guest this week is Suzie Lind.
Hi.
We're standing up right now.
I like the slow clap.
Slow clap.
I like the slow clap too.
Yeah.
Except I'd try to do it in high school and no one would join in. I'm just an idiot
No.
For yourself?
trying to clap.
You're just
you know?
clapping off beat.
Like, what? What's happening?
So everybody, Suzie Lind is one of my great friends. I get to work with Suzie. We're part of the same church community, which is beautiful at Journey. She's kind of like my sister. I love my sisters. My sisters are my favorite humans on the planet. And Suzie has kind of taken that role here in Tennessee. She actually knows my sister really well. That's how we met.
Which is why I think
it's-
that's a big deal, and I don't take that lightly, and I love that. So thank
Yeah,
you.
because you know my sister and how much I love my sisters. Yeah. Suzie is a great speaker, teacher. She's a pastor. She's a great mom, a great wife, great friend. I was trying to think of something else stupid, but I couldn't because you're great.
Thanks. Thanks
You
for
know what
having
you are?
me.
You're a great hostess. Hospitality is a major gift of yours.
Aw, I just like having people over.
Suzie has more people at her house than. So I mean, if you guys are hurt, you haven't been invited yet.
I didn't know until just now.
Yeah,
But
yeah. She actually said to not have you at some point.
I did not. I would love
You did.
to
You did. You
have
said that
them
before this.
over.
You said, you know what? I will never do is I will never have Chris Cleveland over at the house.
I
all
would
the
love
people,
to
but not
have
him.
all the Clevelands over my house.
it's going to happen. Although you don't know what you're asking for.
I mean, I've survived.
crew-
I've survived the
My
Timmons.
crew rolls strong.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
But Suzie has 4 awesome kids. Jason, 19.
20. He just turned
That's
20.
what I said. 20.
I know.
Man.
20 all the way down.
So 20, 17, 15, and 9.
And she's got a lot of girls.
None.
That's not
No.
true. She's
But
got
I-
all boys.
I do have a lot of really great girls that I'm Auntie Suzie to. I'm the second mom to, which is really fun.
Yes.
I'm afraid of that fourth child.
Oh,
Of her
it's
fourth
so
child?
great.
No, not of hers, but
You
like
jerk. You
of,
don't even
of
know
the
him.
proverbial fourth child. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
you
I
got
do.
3 kind of in a cluster, and then the one that's hanging out, like, gives me nightmares, actually.
People used
Yeah,
to always try
yeah.
to talk us into having a fourth child. They would say that like it evens things out, and once you have 3, you might as well have more, and all that. And we were like, no. And if you discern from the age gap between our third and the fourth, you might assume that was not our idea to have a fourth child. But he really has been an amazing gift to our family. I love the fourth child. So
You're not going to talk me into it today.
I'm not trying.
go to
I mean,
her house.
you do you. I'm just saying, like, it's pretty great. We've had a good experience with the whole thing.
I mean, how many people have said, do you know how they were made, right? You know, I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
so
we had
amazing.
somebody
Like, gosh,
tell
we have
us that
4
we
kids.
need to get a
Mainly
TV.
Get a TV.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
gosh, those are just the dumbest jokes ever.
So dumb because we
But
have a
how
TV.
How many pastors have you known that
Yeah.
have 5 or 6 kids?
How many pastors do I know?
Yeah.
Not many.
Really? I know so many.
Number 1, you're bragging because it's like you've got so many
I
friends.
have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Their names are...
Well, PSA for the people. I mean, we have no issue with birth control. We were happily using birth control. So
Yeah, us too with our twins.
yeah.
Yeah, twins. We're the
So-
same way. So the stuff doesn't work.
Can we derail this even more?
Oh gosh, I think we're doing great.
My,
So many blessings.
yeah.
Lord.
My wife was conceived
graphic are you about to get?
post
Okay.
vasectomy.
So we found out about Nathan 3 days after Steve's vasectomy.
Wow.
Yeah, so he came home from
Wow.
work early because, you know, he was still in pain. And he sits down on the couch and I'm like, so what would be the most ironic thing that could happen?
Oh my gosh.
I love
Whoa,
it.
whoa.
But at that point, like, what else do you have to accomplish in life? You know what I mean? Like, you beat all
Yeah.
the odds just to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to talk about today is birth control, everybody. What the
Can't
Catholics think
wait.
about it, what do evangelicals think about it, the Protestants. You know, we're just going to dive into this. Just kidding. We are talking about blessings. Hashtag blessings. And how
blessings.
how being blessed in our stress, how many times with those 4 children, I've been blessed with my stress. But the whole point, Susan, we talked about it this past week, and we've kind of been practicing it here and there. But I think this day, as we talk about this, it'll be more about just discovering what we see about blessings and what we see about where we go in our stress. So, Suze, we talked about this past week what the word blessing actually means. It means to be favored or adored or to be content. One of the main definitions was to be made holy or to be being made holy or whole. Okay, so Susie, when you think of the word blessed, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Like just off the bat, not even knowing all that you know or practicing what you've been practicing. When you just would normally think of the word or hear the word blessed or to bless somebody, what do you think?
I actually think of the word good, but not in terms of like everything's good or it's all good, but that the goodness of God is evident. Because I don't think... The
goodness of God is evident.
Yeah. Just because something's really good from God and just because something is the way it's supposed to be or that you're even experiencing the benefits of it, it doesn't mean that it's easy and wonderful and fun.
One of the things that we're laughing about this past week is that 112 times in the New Testament, the word bless or blessing or blessed is used, and none of which connects blessing to material prosperity.
Right.
And how often it's either material prosperity or the blessing is like, I got a job or I got this. Man, I'm so blessed this week because I found a mate this week,
I mean, I think a lot about in Genesis 12 when God's talking to Abraham and he tells him that he will be blessed to be a blessing. And then you think about the whole life of Abraham after that and everything that happened with him and Sarah and their travels and the obstacles that they came up with and the years of infertility and then having Ishmael and then having Isaac and then parting from Ishmael. And I mean, there's so many things that were hard that came with that. And there were so many wonderful things that came, but they didn't come through anything in particular that was easy. But he was blessed to be a blessing. So I don't think it looks...
That was the line, right.
Yeah, like it just doesn't always look the way we think it's going to look. Like it is so all those things that you said, being favored and whole, yes. And also along with that comes stuff we don't always want to think about. Yeah.
And in a sense, this past week we've been practicing in our stress, realizing and being aware of the blessing even in our stress. So what stressed you guys out this past week?
Yeah, this was a really stressful week. My son got into a car wreck last Friday.
But he's okay.
He's okay. And, thank God he's okay. And I probably thought, what a blessing that he's okay. And still, it comes with so much, right? First of all, you have this car that's probably totaled that you have to deal with and the financial stuff and all that. And then you have a 17-year-old who's already really hard on himself and doesn't need me to be hard on him because he does a fine job for everyone. Then, just the grief for him. I mean, he saved up some hard work for money and loved this car. He searched for this car. And now there's this grief that it's gone and all the unknowns that come with like, how will we replace it and all that stuff. And so there's a lot of logistical details that stress you out. And then there's the just dealing with it emotionally. And then also what's true that, yes, he was not injured, which is the most important thing. And neither was anyone from the other car. And we have insurance and that's what insurance is for. And it's not the worst thing that could happen.
How aware of that were you in the moments?
I had to remind myself.
There's a sobriety.
Yeah.
There's a sobriety of the awareness of being blessed in all circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really a sobriety in that. And then we kind of get drunk on the stress and of the worry about something. So were you pretty much sober most of that time?
No. Only because there were a lot of things also this week. So I'm teaching on Sunday. That's naturally for me in a week before I teach. It already feels tight because I need to have time to prepare. And when you're a mom and it's just, I don't have to go into all that, and then I have another kid that's trying to figure out his college plans and needs me to help with him in that. I have one kid who was quarantined because he was exposed to COVID. So like there were all these things kind of happening all at once and a lot of things that needed to happen. And so I did get really drunk on the stress. There was one day where I was like going to lose my mind. And I had to practice. I had to do what I do to practice working through that and remembering all the blessings.
What's it look like for you to lose your mind? Where do you go? I sit and I just memorize. I've memorized Lamentations, so I go over that over and over. But what do you do?
I can get angry. I don't think I got angry this week at all, really, but I do get very tasky. So I'm really great in crisis because I go into what do we need to do to take care of all the things.
Yep.
And so I get very tasky, and I can very easily just stay in my head with the tasks and disconnect from my heart and lose sight of, with the car, like walking through the learning opportunity and I'm aware of the blessing, but he's not. So getting to parent through that and show my son what that looks like. So I can overlook a lot of that stuff really easily because stuff has to get done.
Yeah. What about you guys? What stressed you out this past week?
I don't know if I experienced stress so much as I experienced like a lot of bittersweet days. Like I had to say goodbye to a job I really loved. And it didn't stress me, but it cut, I think. Like it was hard to let go of something I once saw as like the blessing. I was like, yeah, this is the thing that's like gonna make me whole if I think about it in the way we're describing it. And now to let it go and realize, man, the blessing is staying with me. The job was never my blessing. It was experiencing God in every day of that, of my time in that job and the people I carry with me. So it was bittersweet. I think it was like more sweet than bitter, thankfully. But I was like, man, the blessing of experiencing God with these people and to know that I get to still do that was the sweetness of it. I think before I would have been more stressed.
Yeah.
I've been like, dang, my blessing's gone. I need a new one. Like I need a new job.
Right. Because the blessing was the job. It was so easy for that to become the blessing.
And I remember when I got the job because I was like, yes, you came through. This is what I needed. Where I got the blessing I was asking for. But really I was like, man, I'm starting to get it. Not get it, like master it, but every day I'm understanding the blessing's always been there.
If you were to look back on your job, what were the actual blessings? Not the job being the blessings or the financial part, which are all great, and the relationships, but what was the process of him making you whole in the midst of it?
Man, I've been thinking a lot about it. So whenever you're ready. For real. I was like, man, I didn't realize it's not what I was doing, but it's who I was becoming through that job that blessed me. I was like, man, I've never felt so much more myself. But it wasn't the job per se. It was just God's goodness coming through.
Wowza. Yeah, that's worth stacking some stones and remembering for your future,
Yeah, which should be a week of ours because I've been also exploring altars and just what it looks like to create moments that remind me of a God who blesses me all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, these are moments that are reminders that I've never been left alone.
So good.
Yeah, I have a friend who always used to say, don't forget to remember, when you're...
Don't forget to remember?
Yeah.
Gosh, we should write that song.
Yeah, like when you're discouraged and, you can't maybe see what God is doing or hear what he's saying. But if you don't forget to remember, then you can count on like, okay, well, he showed up here and he provided here, and this is what I know to be true of him. And so I can remember that and count on that for what I don't know going forward.
So part of the role of the blessed is to stack some stones on top of each other that will help us remember the goodness and nearness of God. So whether you're in the middle of a confusing or difficult or wonderful season, let's just take a second or a whole day and write down the ways and times that God has brought you through to where you find yourself today. Don't forget to remember. Love that, Suze. That's so beautiful. For me this week, I found myself very stressed in many moments. I released a record recently. And no, seriously, Seriously, guys, stop. Seriously. So you're clapping too many times. It's just a single clap. Is all.
It's worth fire. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I listened to it.
It's very good.
Thank you. You're on it. So
Yeah. Well, that's why
I noticed that I wasn't thanked in your Instagram post, though. You know, I mean, I wasn't.
No.
I didn't see my name in that list of
Just
people
supporting friends.
that made it happen. You know,
thank you, the electronical guitar players, and for my supportive friends, Suzie Lind.
I just started saying thank you, and that's it in my liners because I got so tired of writing them.
Of everybody?
Yeah. So I just say thank you.
Like, do you put their names?
No, I only say thank you.
you know who you are.
Yeah. You know who you are.
But do you?
Yeah. I guess it would work because Suzie at that point would feel like.
I mean, I chose to
welcome.
believe it. I chose to believe it in my heart.
So
that
if you think I'm thanking you, then you're welcome.
So good.
Crying.
So I put out a new record, which is just stressful, and I don't realize how stressful that is, and I'll explain that in a second. You know, we're refinancing our house right now because rates are from the Lord. They're a blessing from the Lord.
I'm trying to make
They're
that
making you
whole, baby. Yeah.
There are so many tasks that did not get done this week so far. I feel the weight of that at the end of every single day. And I'm just seeing as I'm saying, okay, so what's the blessing? How am I being blessed and made whole in all of this? This stress is pulling me out of the moment and into like future tripping. It just, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it's literally what it's doing is pulling me out of the moment of either when I'm trying to parent my kids, because that was gnarly this week as well. And so here's where I go. I go to future because I go, okay, my son's going to turn out like this, or if this thing doesn't happen, this record isn't really going to hit well, or if I don't get this stuff done, then this is not going to come. I mean, I just go so hard on the future tripping, and that I live in my stress, and I'm not actually seeing like what else is going on in this. Like what could I even be being taught in this moment? And so this experiment this week, it helped me stay present, I would say. And not in the moments I was drunk half the week, maybe even more than, not literally on the alcohols, everybody, when we talk about being drunk or sober. That could have been too, but it's more just about on worry or drunk on fear or on my identity or whatever it is. And I think I lived in that so much, but this experiment actually helped me to stay present.
yeah.
So that was really helpful for me this week. What about you, Chris?
I lost my mind briefly, and it's weird, and I think it's a little bit of a combination of like both of you guys' things. It's like forgetting to remember. I think I can do that really well in stressful situations. And then also that triggers me into actions that are not in the best interest of myself, right? Which honestly, for me, when it comes to like business or something like that, it's like rushing into something or taking on too much. So you say you're like a task person. I become a task person too. So I like dive in and I'm like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And I don't care if anybody else helps me. I'm going to do it, you know? And so this week for me, it's been like this really coming out of 2020. I felt like, oh, God gave me this, year off and I've loved being with my family and blah, blah, blah. And, and God really has provided in like really incredible ways. We have lacked for nothing. When I thought about trying to tour, I was like, well, maybe I'll, try and do something in churches on Sundays. It's like God provided this like other thing for me for part of this year where I've been helping out at a church and it's just been simple. But last week we decided on my end date. Okay. So it's all been temporary and we all knew this, but I've never done anything in my life where I planned to stop. I've had plenty of endings and most of them self-admittedly have not been good. I don't end well. So I've been thinking through that, like I want to end well, that kind of thing. But then what that does is I start future tripping. Yep. And it's like, well, oh man, how am I going to provide or do whatever? Because I'm forgetting that God has provided for me so much. I mean, over the last 4 years, it's unreal since we moved out here. And so one text message from my booking agent sent me off. I mean, I just lost a year and a half of like,
all cred.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh God, you provided so well. I love my family. I'm gonna stay home this year and really enjoy this.
On a walk this morning, I got the unfiltered, unedited version.
That's right. Yeah. And then I'm like straight into like, nope. I'm freaking booking every day. If you're not going to do it, I'm freaking going to do it. And I don't need you. I was hoping I didn't have to do your job for you. I just go straight into it. The beautiful thing about this podcast for me has been I have not been able to prevent those moments.
No.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
But I've been able to catch myself in them. Whether it's cussing at the guy on the highway and having to laugh about it, or like catching myself and going to my wife and be like, babe, I'm tripping out on this.
Yeah.
And this text message like derailed me.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, what is whole in this situation? I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think maybe the first step is like getting me out of the trip. But I think how you describe that, like remembering, I think maybe it is that first step, because that's really what centers me and say, oh no, God, you've provided. You brought me here. You didn't bring me here for nothing. You're not going to leave us, hang us out to dry. And even, talking to Tim earlier, it's like, when I really dive in, I'm like, what's the worst that happens?
Yeah.
I sell my house in Williamson County right now and make a bunch of money and go live with my parents on a lake or something.
Yeah.
Get ready, Mom and Dad. They got a boat.
I'm going.
Like, you guys can all come. There's a pool.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like, what's really the worst thing that happens? You start like dissecting it and then and trying to figure out what it is. I had been on a stress-free-ish streak, and then that one little thing just sent me over. It's crazy.
So if he is blessing you just by his presence and him walking with you in and through things, how could he be making you whole? What would it look like that he's making you whole in that moment?
Gosh.
Or you already are whole, you're just waking up to it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a beautiful part about this thing, is that I feel like I'm kind of figuring it out as we go.
Hence the experiment.
Hence the experiment. And it's not just like, I'm not going to give you a Jesus answer if I don't have one.
I love it.
And so I really feel like, even though I've grown, I could tell you what I should tell you, but I'm not sure. I still think I'm in process. And I think maybe whole changes.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like what that looks like, or
maybe making me whole at 25 is different than making me whole at 36. And whole with my business is different than whole with my family and whole with myself. So, we talked about like, oh no, it's okay to hold people accountable to do their job, which is like what I was stressed about with booking shows. But it's not okay to lose my mind about it. So how can I separate those things and hold people accountable with grace and not be a jerk, which I have an issue with. Working on it. And not let it run my day.
Yeah, like it actually takes over and got you drunk on this stuff.
Yep. And I guess the beauty of it is, and the process of becoming whole is saying, I could recognize it, go to my wife and say, oh, this is killing me.
I think one thing that I'm noticing, Chris, that you keep saying about like when you go to Mackenzie and talk to her about it, like it just reminds me of how much we need other people in our pursuit of wholeness. Like you have to be able to not just say it out loud to God. I mean, saying things out loud to God is really important and helpful and necessary. But then saying it out loud to someone else to help diffuse whatever shame you might be feeling or the anger, or just someone that can say, you're being slightly ridiculous. Let's pull it back a little bit, But it's so important to like include somebody. And I love that you went on a walk with Tim and you gave him the unfiltered version, because he's the perfect person to do that with. But that's part of what makes us whole, is the people that we can be fractured with.
Right. Yeah.
I love that, exactly Suze. Right. Another thing I just thought about this past week, and I'm learning about myself, and I've actually talked to all of you about this offline, so I'll say it online. I'm learning a lot about my expectations in life. like how high of expectations I hold on myself and the things that I do, which you'd never really, if you know me well, you'd be like, no, you don't. You could care less about anything, really. And it's just not true. And internally, I hold such high expectations for certain things, you know. And when those things, like my record, you know, I am so thankful for how it has done so far, and the songs are doing well and all that stuff. But I can't really even just celebrate it as a project and go, man, what a great gift that I got to, I mean, I can't believe I get to do that for a living, you know, like what a huge thing. Even that I got to write these songs and put them out, and I had tons of people to actually thank, you know, because I write names down, Chris. But I got to think, I mean,
Chris.
I appreciate people.
what a beautiful thing. And just putting something out, that is powerful. That's awesome. But I go to a place of, I'm expecting it to do this well on the charts. And if it doesn't, I'm like, well, I'm kind of a failure. Because my expectations have completely drawn me away from remembering who the actual blessing is and what the blesser is doing in me through the process. So even in this, I'm actually being blessed, not by failure, but by being refined even in this moment, which has been really helpful. And I think of that in all the situations in my past week, my expectations with my kids or my wife or myself, or those are so dangerous. We're going to have to jump and do a whole series on expectations at some point.
Yeah, that would be good.
It will basically fillet me.
I'd be down since I struggle with perfectionism.
Oh.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But you know, when you say that, I think for me, another thing that was stressful for me this week was just the worry of what people think of me.
Yeah.
Our church has chosen to process out loud some of the things going on in our country right now. And so it's really hard for me because I don't want to hurt people and I don't want to alienate people, but I can get really hung up on other people's approval of whatever they think about what we're doing and saying. Yeah. So it's important to care about what people are experiencing and feeling, but to care to the point where their approval matters more than God's approval, or your obedience starts shifting to the people and not to God. It's a very slippery slope for me.
Yeah. Suzie and I are on another podcast together, and it's called Journey Now, and you guys should go check it out. It's pretty radical, and I get nervous every week because one of the guys, Mike Erie, brings up just a concept or a thing that's going on in real time, and it just, I mean, it's
I've been
heated,
enjoying them.
and I pee my pants a little bit every time when he says it. I'm like, oh.
He doesn't give us any time to prepare for it. So it's really like a live conversation about what we're currently thinking, feeling, processing. And so like you don't have time to like get your theology right and lined up with your emotions and information and all that stuff. And so it is pretty vulnerable. And so to worry about people thinking we're too this or not enough this, or especially at a time when the church isn't looked upon very favorably by outsiders, you know, and I even hate that word, outsiders, but by people who are not choosing to participate in it. It can very easily bust into your wholeness.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Here's my encouragement. I've been listening to those, and I think specifically you, Suzie, you are consistent. You challenge some of like the churchy crap that I think we've all dealt with our whole lives, which I love. And I think you do that really well and graciously on that podcast. It's been one of my favorite parts of listening to it.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We should all go around and just have affirmations of Suzie today.
I don't.
We are all, everybody who's listening, we are all huge fans of Suzie Lind. So this is an honor to have you on here. One of the questions here is just, is there a part of this practice that you'd want to actually continue with?
The lack of blessing makes us feel like we've been abandoned, and the truth is we're not, right? So
lack of outward financial or job-wise blessings. Is that what you mean?
Like when Chris is like, I'll do it myself then, right? That's an expression of like, I've been abandoned, so I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
I think moving forward, I want to remember so many people, like God in them, like they're trying to be part of that completion throughout those moments, instead of like, now I have to measure my relational time with people because I'm not there, or I'm having a bad moment.
Yeah.
So I think I want to move forward with sharing that with people.
Love that.
Yeah. When I'm future tripping, it takes me out of the moment with people.
Yeah.
So what you're saying there both helps in the future and in the moment. You articulate things way better than I do. It's my favorite thing.
Oh, you weren't talking to me. You were talking to me.
No.
Dang it.
Come on,
talking to
Tim.
him.
Let me have one.
Suze, any thoughts for you?
Yeah, I'm a total escapist in my mind. Like when things are really stressful, like the other day I was driving and I'm supposed to get off on 96 on the 65 south to get to my house. And I just
listen how she just said the 65 and the 96. She is so California. I'm just so happy.
That's
That's real.
five.
That's real.
Thank
the
you.
6'5".
Please.
it's the
The
96.
Susie, please continue.
So I just had this like thought go through my head of what if I just kept driving? What if I just kept driving and just drove
Yeah.
away and called my family and said, I'm not coming home tonight.
You'd wind up in Alabama somewhere.
I know.
Weird.
Or I could just get to Florida to the beach, or
Yeah, there you go. Keep going.
I could keep going. And I literally have those fantasies in my head sometimes. And then other times just kind of maybe even subconsciously, or I'll remove myself from the situation, or I'll put up a fortress around myself towards a person if I feel like they're going to hurt me, or if the situation is not what I want it to be. I find a way to unhealthily remove myself from the situation. But I love the practice in the sense of like breathing in, I'm blessed because you're here, and that's it. I love it because it's not only speaking a blessing over myself, but also just recognizing, okay, no, God's here. Even though things are not what they're supposed to be like in my mind, or maybe even in God's mind, He's here, and I don't want to be anywhere that He's not. And so that's, I think, that the big part for me. And I really love Psalm 23 when He says He makes you lie down in green pastures, and He leads you beside still waters, and He prepares a table before your enemies. Like, those are all things we would never do on our own, that He has to do those things. And that whole psalm is about God walking with you. And so it's always the reminder that He's here. I mean, obviously, I have a family. He's here with me. He doesn't want me to leave my family. That's the easy one, right? And so just remembering that I don't have to actually escape. I can try to look for Him here, or wait to be found by Him here even. That is literally a practice for me, because it's just not something that comes naturally. My natural instinct is to just check out.
Yeah. Suzie Lind, thank you so much for being with us. And if you're listening, I'm sure you know now why we love Suzie so much.
Thanks for having me, and thanks
Suzie,
for
you're awesome.
all the encouragement and affirmation. I feel so good
You're
about
welcome.
myself.
We'll keep sending these to you every single day. And if you guys want to be on the show, we'll just encourage you the whole time. Suzie, in 1 second, we're going to come right back, and we're going to do some 10,000-minute questions on you, speed round. So just get ready. People will be right back.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, welcome back. Tim Timmons here. I'm Moy Donis.
Hi.
Chris Cleveland.
Yo.
From the stars go dim. That's the way the Californians would say it. We've got Suzie Lind here as our guest, and we've got 10,000 questions for you, Suzie Lind. And I'm very excited for you to answer these. So, again, this is a speed round, so don't suck. If you were a food, what would you be?
Oh my gosh.
Once again, this is a speed round.
I would be
Speed
brie
round.
cheese.
And why?
Oh.
Wow.
Strong
many
on the
jokes.
outside, smooth and creamy on the inside.
Let's go.
I don't know. That was the
I didn't
first
see
thing
that
that
coming.
came to my mind.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
I have no
Gosh.
response.
Yeah.
Fine
So
with it.
good.
Didn't see that coming. Okay. If you could date one of the Avengers in your life,
my
who would that
gosh.
be? In your past life. Because you're married now. You've been married for many years to an amazing man. You hung out with him. We don't need
I
to get too
did.
into it. It just made me. That
Okay.
question made
Jeremy
me so happy.
Renner and I worked together at the Broadway, which is now Macy's. It actually was called the Broadway.
Yes, thank you. No, you just hung out with him. We just given her so much grief about that, so I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
We both worked in cosmetics while he was a struggling actor,
Gosh.
and I was just
You were
working
Brie
in
Cheese.
cosmetic.
You were just brie cheese. Okay, how old were you when you had the worst haircut of your life?
Oh my gosh, I know the answer to this question. I was
bet
in
you
the
do.
3rd grade.
Ooh.
Did you give it to yourself?
No, my aunt gave it to me. She cut my hair. She gave me a boy haircut that was awful for my age, which I had a pixie cut when I got married. So I love the pixie cut, but it's not what that was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And I had a unibrow. I was like the little immigrant child with the bad haircut.
Oh, Suze, that could be a whole other podcast.
Relatable.
It was really hard. It was really hard to feel like you belonged.
Oh, Sue. Okay, so that'll be our next one. Will just be on that. Thank you for sharing that because I know that was very dear. Pet peeves, go.
Socks on the living room floor. Hopefully my family's listening to this. And now it's masks being left laying around. Like the face mask, the facial coverings. I'm like, there's something about it that really bugs me. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry, were you looking for something more juicy?
No, I don't know. Yeah, give me one more. Give me another pet peeve. Something just happens.
Currently?
Yeah.
And I do it too. So I'm just going to preface it with that.
Yep.
People who can't hold space for experiences outside of their own.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, well, that's the 4th podcast I think we've created on this podcast.
And I do it too. So I need to really clarify that.
Okay, if you could be anywhere else right now, where would you be?
A vineyard in France.
A vineyard in
I know, doesn't it sound so good?
By
I have
yourself
all the brie
or with
cheese.
people?
Ooh. All the
No,
brie.
I'd take Steve.
There you go.
I'd take Steve. Yeah, for sure.
You and Steve would
I
just be
don't
making out.
I don't know that
eating
Kinsey
grapes.
would. I think she would say by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, she might need a
seen
day
how
by
you clean
herself, Chris, but I think ultimately she'd probably want you there with her.
Like 4. Probably 4 days. I could come like day 5.
You guys, I was telling Chris about this, and he's not a grape guy, so it didn't even matter, and I felt unheard. But have you guys tried the Muscat grapes? Like Moscato grapes at the grocery store?
What is Moscato?
Oh.
It's like a wine, but it's like the super sweet
Dessert
wine.
wine.
Now I
You get-
feel dumb. I was like, oh no, my kids like the cotton candy grapes.
Yeah. No. Well, I would have said the same thing. Have you tried them, Suze?
I haven't. I didn't even know they were a thing, but I like some Moscato
Bonkers.
wine over ice cream.
Yes.
Whoa.
You guys, Susie is also a great chef. And she is a lover of food. And at some point, we're going to actually do
I
a
love
podcast
food.
just about food.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Done and done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Susie, thanks for being so great.
Thank you guys.
Amazing.
You guys are all pretty great. It's really fun.
Chris just did a single clap again.
The one clap.
Bye.
Bye.
You're the best.
Okay, everybody, we will be coming right back with the pre-conversation for this next week's experiment. So we'll be talking about that here in a second, so don't go anywhere. Okay, so obviously we're obviously.
Why we don't do afternoon ones, guys? Lesson learned. Lesson
Oh
learned.
yeah! Wow! Yeah, you're right.
Live.
Okay.
2:30 p.m.
Total look alive.
9
Look alive,
a.m.
everybody. Look alive.
Holy, 2 p.m.
You're gonna
Trash.
rally
Okay,
cats.
so we are thinking a few things right now. We're rethinking doing this podcast in the afternoon. Number one, because it is not wise, everybody. That's why we do it at 3 a.m. every morning.
Yep.
We get up early, we get it done. Get her done. So we are thinking what time we're going to do this podcast, and we're rethinking the word blessed.
Ooh.
So
Yes.
Okay.
that was week 1. Week 2, I'm very excited. So we have Shonda Pierce next week, who is a legend. She's a comedian, but that
All over
girl's
the place.
She's all over the place. She's awesome, but she's got quite a journey she's gone through. So it'll be fun to even talk about this specifically with her. So that all moments are God moments. That God is near. We're almost making fun of it. And you guys, please, if you do this or you know somebody who's done this, don't make fun of them or don't take this as a personal affront.
Okay.
Right.
We're just rethinking. We're not saying you're lame, but we're just taking the idea of the God wink.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah. It's like a punch in the gut.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and here's the thing. This morning, I was on the Instagrams and I saw somebody say, they were talking about something that God did, and it was like, this was just such a great God wink. And it was somebody that I respect a ton. So I was like, wow, this is perfect timing for me to not throw shade on anybody who says that.
Right.
But just to go, how do we rethink this?
Because it does feel like such like a weird, bad Christian phrase.
Yes.
Overused. But maybe just for like people who've been stuck in the Christian world for too long. Maybe normal people who haven't grown up in all this don't think that.
So, okay, what to us is a God moment? Like, how would you define a God moment, a God wink?
Okay, I saw an Instagram thing the other day too, and it was this guy, and he'd like died on his 30th birthday. Follow me. It's like it was like good news, whatever on Instagram.
Once again,
died like on his on his 30th birthday or something. It's been 4 years, and when he was a kid, he did a birthday ad. Okay, where he's like in front of this birthday cake as a little kid, and they put it on all these trucks. And like just the other day, his brother's driving on the highway, hadn't seen this in forever. On the guy's birthday, sees this ad with his brother as a little kid and the birthday cake, and it just said God wink on it.
Gosh.
I was like, okay, good news, Instagram.
Whoa.
You got me there.
Yeah.
You got me there.
Whoa.
Yeah, or is that coincidence?
I think it's coincidence, but
lines are open. Callers, please call in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what to you is a God moment, a God wink? I mean, just we're not even judging it. We're just saying what do people think that is?
It's one of those situations where you can't explain it. It had to have been God because it makes no sense.
Yeah, God really came through.
Yeah.
He showed up.
I think also we sometimes say God wink or God moments for answered prayers too.
Right.
So we're like, this was such a God moment because I've been praying for this specific job and he came through and it's only God because God knows my heart. All those things are true. But then they just like lock in holy moments with God to only the ones that come out in our favor.
Right. The ones, I love that. So the prayer that we've been praying for, the God moment happened. God really showed up in this moment. And ultimately it's because I got what I really wanted.
So what does that say in all the other moments?
Yeah. Are those not God moments? Are those not God winks? Is he like, well, sucks to be you?
Right. I'm not one eye closing at you. Right
now. I'm double
I
winking.
know. I'm staring straight at you.
Or his eyes
blinking.
are closed. I mean, in a sense, his eyes are closed in those moments.
Yeah. Oh, like winking is so creepy anyways. An aside.
We'll jump into that with Shonda.
Great.
Yeah, so it's a moment we can't explain. God really came through. There's a thankfulness for the answered miracle almost.
Yeah.
But not maybe for the moment-to-moment nearness in it all.
Yeah, I feel like it's like making a caricature out of God if I'm really thinking about it.
Wow.
It's like I'm only going to acknowledge him maybe in these weird moments that I can't explain.
Yeah.
That usually tend to be in my favor. Yeah. We're making God smaller than he is. It's just what comes to mind.
No, I love that. So in the moments where he is not winking at us, what do you feel? I'm just going through our normal idea of blessed is almost this. I was so blessed. Again, I use this illustration all the time. I got a job. God blessed me. But was I not blessed yesterday? This is God good or was he not good yesterday?
Right.
So what's the feeling in that moment when we're not getting the blessing? And I'm putting big old quotes. We're not getting the God wink.
Like we're alone?
Yeah.
Or like we're out there trying to make it ourselves?
I mean, it sounds extreme. Even hearing us talk about it being like moments where we're blessed and not blessed. I mean, it's almost like moments where we're blessed and moments when we're cursed, even though we're not thinking it that way.
Oh.
Like if God isn't present in something, then what is it? Is it just a moment without God, or is it a moment cursed, like full abandonment, like without his presence? Like, is it the complete opposite, or is it just, these are the other moments are just me waiting for the next God moment?
Right.
So, I mean, I could almost see why someone would say God wink or God moment, because it's like again, God orchestrated this. And all the other moments, it's not that God hasn't, it's that I'm just waiting for the next moment he's orchestrated.
Yeah.
But maybe we're accidentally saying in all these other moments, God's not here yet.
I think what that sets up, though, is the opposite of where people say, well, God abandoned me in this moment. And where they feel like that he just turned his back on them. And so this like extreme of, well, if he can like give me extra portions of favor, then he can also take his presence away. And I don't think I really align with either of those.
Yeah, what happens when somebody dies that you've been praying for? What happens when something really happens that we've been really asking for?
Yeah.
I mean, I think of my kids all the time, the things that we pray for with them and they pray for. And when those things do not happen, how does that shape how they see God?
Right.
You know, and I use this also all the time, that Malia used to always pray about her bad dreams, that they would go away. And they just weren't. And I think in her heart, she's like, what up? I'm not getting any God winks here. You're calling this other thing God winks, but like he obviously is here just sometimes. And then, I mean, this character, I think it's such a great way of seeing it. Yeah, the antonyms of the word blessed or blessing is discontent, cursed, and unfavored. So in those moments, does God curse us?
I think the obvious answer is no. But when we set all this stuff up, it's hard not to feel that way.
Yeah.
But we feel it.
We feel it.
We feel abandoned.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus is no stranger to that. He felt abandoned for a second, right?
Yeah.
He felt forsaken.
That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Very true. But the feeling is relatable.
Yeah.
That in a moment you could feel abandoned because it doesn't feel like it's aligning with a God you believe in.
And you can also lose sight of the big picture in an instance.
I also think it depends on your view of God.
Oh, completely depends on our view of God. Because Chris and I, we talk about this all the time on our walks. It's not just the theology, what I believe in my mind to be true about God. It's what I'm actually, if you're an alien looking into my life, this is how you see my life living out.
Yeah.
That's actually what I believe to be true about God.
What do my kids think I believe from what they see?
Yeah. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, well, I just think about, again, those who might think, there are just moments where I'm waiting for God, and then there's moments where I'm cursed by God. That reflects how I see God in general.
Yeah.
I see a God who like is kind of a Sour Patch Kid. You know those commercials where like they cut your hair and then they sit beside you and like give you a flower. It's like, does that determine your God moments or your moments in general, or is it like, no, I just wait for my Savior to come. And does that reflect as well, where it's like, he's always kind of somewhere else. I think that has a lot to say with how you see God's presence show up in your life.
Yeah, and I think the scary part of this to me is if you see other people saying, oh, this is my God moment, it can shape who God is to you. Because you're like, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So God is not
He hasn't
here
related
for
to me like that.
Yeah.
Man, that was my upbringing, like Pentecostal, and just seeing people being prophesied over, and me being like, "What about me?
Yeah,
I've been trying to live a holy life. Bless me. Tell me what's my life next." You know, and just waiting for that next moment I'd be seen.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just read this scripture, and you've probably heard it about 1,000 times, but this is in Romans 8. So, can anything ever separate us from Christ's love? Does it mean he no longer loves us if we have trouble or calamity, or are persecuted, or hungry, or destitute, or in danger, or threatened with death? No, despite all these things, overwhelming victory is ours through Jesus, who loved us. And I'm convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love or nearness. Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow, and not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. No power in the sky above or the earth below. Indeed, nothing in all creation will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Jesus, our Lord. So the practice this week is to breathe in, I'm blessed. Breathe out, because you're here. Nothing can separate us. I'm blessed because you're here, not because you're giving me what I want this week, but I'm blessed because you're here. This is more of an awareness practice than anything else.
Yeah.
It's less about doing anything. And again, these practices are never about earning something from God. It's just a deeper awareness. And hopefully that's what we'll find in this next week as we practice that.
That's great.
So don't blow it, you guys. And if you do, you're out of the band.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't even know I was in the band. Well, short-lived.
Window washers. Window washing. Thank you so much for listening to the 10,000 Minute Experiment with us. We are having so much fun doing this, and I'm loving your comments. So keep your comments coming on all the social medias. Would you please tell your friends about this if you think it actually might help them or encourage them? And please subscribe or rate it or give us a good rating. That would be awesome. So thanks, you guys. You will love this next week, and let us know how the practice is going. Thanks, you guys. Please go to 10,000minutes.com, and if you want to get the free text messages, just text 10K 10K to the number 55678. So 10K to the number 55678. Thanks, you guys. We'll be back on next Tuesday.